Unfortunately, Nanaji passed away just 4 days ago. 4 days? 1 day before the conference, 1.5, yeah. And so I'm told that the entire district didn't celebrate Holi. That institution has been flooded with people. People still not. He died at 95, but still he was active and very revered and very deeply loved figure. I regret it very much that I never got to meet him, though I kept planning. And that's another thing that taught me never to postpone, never to procrastinate. नेक काम में कभी देरी मत करो. और स्वामी जी इसलिए आपके पास जल्दी आ जाऊंगी. Rakesh. He just invited us. Yes. Swami. No, not okay. So here is a film. They sent me, the institution sent me this film, and it's interesting that it was relayed over Doordarshan, which is the national television channel, which again makes it clear that it's not somebody doing a stuti gan from his own. If national television channel, and he certainly didn't belong to the Congress party, if they presented it, I think it should be a worthwhile glimpse into
held sessions in various places around the world, but our focus has been on that issue of public representation in India and in the States and in the UK. Yeah, we're coming to the end of the funded part of the project now. We have one more session, which is at the European Conference on South Asian Studies in Bonn this summer. But the focus of that session is much more on, but it's more on opening up the themes of the project to look at the public representation of other religions, not just Hindu, and that is only other Indian religions. This then is the last of the ones which is specifically focused on public representation of Hinduism. The project has been, focused on a number of different themes. So some of the seminars have been on issues such as modern sampradayas, Hinduism in the media, public temple building and public forms of worship. And in fact, very soon we'll be having a special issue of the International Journal of Hindu Studies coming out, which is drawing papers from that session, the session on temple building and public forms of worship. That session was the first session that we held, and Deepa and I have edited that special issue. It should be out, well, any day now. We're just expecting it to drop into our inboxes, really. Yeah, a number of themes, and this one was one which we themed on health, education, and development work. And so, that has always been our intention to have that kind of theme for this particular session. But as the network has developed, a number of kind of recurrent issues have developed for us. One of which, in particular, was the amount of engagement that the network had with practitioners. Of course, it's a research network. Ultimately, it's about it's funded by an academic research council in the UK. But our concern has been increasingly, actually, to try and engage with what we've loosely termed practitioners. And we've done it to a certain extent in previous sessions, particularly the previous two. But nothing like on the scale that we've done in this session, and I think that's a tribute to Madhuji's perseverance, and in particular she's been interested in trying to develop that. So that's one of the things which I think that it would be interesting to hear people's sort of feedback and comments on. But also, I think it's important not to lose sight of the kind of key themes that we began with in this session. That is the engagement of Hindu organisations in those particular sectors. And I'm certainly interested in, the issue of service delivery and how, one could say, in the last 20 or 30 years or so, as the state has sort of contracted to a certain extent through liberalisation, how in the broad field of kind of NGO involvement, you get these Hindu organisations sort of engaging in those kind of issues. I was actually interested in it, first of all, because you see the same kind of pattern occurring in the UK, in fact, where over the same time period, especially in the 1980s, in the Thatcher years in the UK, you get the contraction of the state, and therefore this opening up of the opportunity for NGOs to engage in various kind of service delivery, which has led to religious organisations becoming more engaged in these particular kind of public sectors. I think it's interesting to see the way that there's a sort of parallel in the UK, although that hasn't come out so much in this particular session because most of the papers have been focused on India.